Welcome to Elvan Arcy's Banishment. This is an attempted playthrough of Banished, with the end goal of reaching 900 population without using any mods, at least on the first playthrough. I've been really enjoying dipping back into Banished on streams lately and decided that this would be the right game to start a YouTube series with. I am also considering doing one with City Skylines and Enter the Gungeon, depending on the amount of time that I have. So with no further ado, let's get started. Ideally, I would like to do a valleys map with a large terrain size on a fair climate. I'm not quite comfortable enough going on harsh, and let's be honest, easy is just too simple. And we're going to call this Elvan Arcy's Banishment. Alright, I can't spell that out in here, so we're just going to call it Banish. Hold on. B-N-S-H-M-N-T. There we go. Now let's just get a random seed here. I kind of like one that starts with a 9. I don't know if that means anything. There we go. Everything looks good. And of course we need disasters on, because otherwise that's just going to be depressing. So now we get to go through the great loading screens. Now just get yourself a little background about me, because I can. I'm a physics graduate student, finishing up my PhD. And I've been doing a little bit of streaming lately and having quite a bit of fun with that. And I figure, you know what, I'm going to post some videos to YouTube. I've been porting some over from, porting some over from Twitch VODs, but I figure I might as well make some actual YouTube specific ones. Now, I like to keep these two windows open as much as I can. But let's take a look at our starting area. We have a river right next to us, which is going to be marvelous for fishing as well as for trading. We seem to have a ton of stone and iron, but kind of limited on lumber. With the expansion capabilities over here and up a little bit to the north. So I think overall this is actually a fairly nice map seed. This area will be gorgeous to expand into once we get there. So once we get a little bit bigger, we can kind of just dig a tunnel through here and go from that. So now the question is, how do we start a Banished game? For a new city, what we need to really work on is first we want to assign 2 people to build. At least in my opinion, I need 2 builders. And we want to kind of gather some resources. And we're going to create a little road, because in all honesty, this helps me just organize my city more than anything else. Oh, come on. Let's get this going straight here. And then we want to plop down a couple of houses. We want to try to handle our homelessness problem fairly early, and rather than letting it expand. Now, of course, the problem is going to tie into, we want to make sure that we get food production up and running as quickly as possible, because we don't want to run out of food. So we're going to just let this as a construction project, and we're going to just hit play. And of course, honestly, I find speed 1 to be actually borderline painfully slow, so we're going to go with speed 5 for this. Provides reasonable rate and, you know, easy enough to watch. This original harvest is just going to be very quick and easy because none of my citizens actually have any jobs, and really makes it doable. We want to get set up with some food production before the first winter. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a gatherer's hut along what this road would be, because I do want to expand out the road, so we're going to place it down here. That will give us a little bit more food production. So we're going to keep this area kind of forested for now. But we're going to try to work solely on clear cutting over here. And I might actually just increase our amount of workers to 3 for building things, just so these projects get done a little bit quicker. But we start with plenty of starting food of 1,800. It's really a large amount, at least for the early game from my experience. Now my experience is very limited. I played this game upon release, and then basically haven't touched it since until it recently went on Steam sale. And I decided, you know, it was worth dipping back into. Oh, sorry. I keep hitting the escape key because I want to back out of a menu. I've been playing too much of City Skylines and Planet Coaster as of late, so that's been turned into me. Now, we want to get firewood up and running. And for some reason, I thought that this was the firewood space, but apparently that is, in fact, not. That's just a house. So what we're going to do is we're going to establish a woodcutter, which is here, and we want him relatively close to the stockpile. So we're going to actually put him right back here, so he's on the back side, and we're going to just give him a road that connects down. Like I said, just to get this mostly for my own organization, but also to kind of just make it clearer for more efficient, for the citizens. So we're going to create another stockpile here just because this one's getting full. I haven't started enough building projects to really take advantage of those resources that we already have. Now we have already set up here a nice clear area, and whether or not this is correct or not, I like putting a farm in the starting, basically center of the field. Now I will assume that no one is going to come plant beans this season. I'm going to assign 2 farmers to work this field this year, just in case. And it actually looks like, yeah, no one's going to come here. Well, actually, it looks like maybe someone is going to work. So they are actually going to get a harvest in this year. So we will probably have no shortage of food. Now, I like having only 3 fishermen working in a fishery. It's probably not the right amount from efficiency standpoint, but it's kind of just the amount I enjoy. So we're going to extend a couple more houses here and here. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep some space for paths so that we can expand out nicely. Now we already have what's starting to look like a fairly reasonable village. Also, these are weird looking bean plants to me. In my opinion, aren't beans tall, typically grown in rows, almost like like wine plants, so like vines and things like that? I don't know. Apparently, in this case, in this game, they are planted like ground cover. I guess they probably didn't have, they had limited assets or something like that. But we'll take it. I think this is the first time I've actually ever grown beans. Now, what we want to keep an eye on is the number of tools. There's basically just a few key things that you need to get every city really set up with. One of them is firewood, which we have going now. The other one is food, which we seem to have a reasonable handle on. And the next project is housing, followed by tools production. Because once tools run out, really every single part of our society will fall apart. So we're going to have 1 person working as a gatherer. That's probably insufficient, but for now we're going to go with it. And we see that we have no firewood stored up, which is actually concerning to me. So I want to issue an order to clear cut some trees, because we need more firewood. We need to make it through the winter without freezing to death. I think that is something everyone could agree on. Mass deaths at the very beginning is not good. And we're going to set up also here a project for the blacksmith. And then along the backside here, I'm going to create another horizontal road that comes across. This will just give me an expansion point for the next so-called iteration of this design. And also along the back here, we're going to create a little road. And we're going to actually kind of tighten it up like that, just in case I decide to put something out here like another farm. We don't waste that space. Alright, so now we have the blacksmith under construction, the road's being done, the harvest is underway. We're low on food, but I suspect that the harvest will in fact take care of that. Now we don't need 3 builders anymore, we only need 2, and even that might be a bit of an excessive amount. But we're going to lower our gather amount to 2 as well. Limit. Just to try to get that a little bit increased food production, but I want to be able to expand and just keep them kind of spread out. Now I suspect having these rocks and this iron in here is actually going to hamper my gatherer's ability to find food. So I'm going to issue an order to kind of chop this area down slowly. But we'll see how that turns out. See if they can keep going with that, if that's enough. Now we don't have any homeless people right now, which is good. And about 1/3 of our population, about 1/3 of our population is in children. I think that's about the right amount to have. I want to see how we go through this first winter before we expand that with that. Now we are low on logs, which I've issued an order to cut this forest down. So hopefully they're going to come over here and do it bit by bit. I guess most of our logs are being deviated up between this, the blacksmith construction, and the woodcutter. Now, one thing I like about starting with medium difficulty for starting resources versus hard is just I start with crops. And so that helps me just handle my normal problems, which is typically the first couple of years, I run out of resources. It's either going to be lumber, which seems to be the case for now, or it's going to be something like food, which is actually probably much more dangerous. And we're actually going to cut back on one of the gatherers and one of the fishermen for now, because we do seem to be doing well on food. Of course, the harvest is coming in, so that kind of supplements it. But, you know, we're going to just start with this. And I think this will be enough food to get us over into the next year and to the next harvest. Now, you can see we have a lot of game out here. So it might be worthwhile setting up a hunter's cabin at some point to take advantage of that. But what I want to do, get done in this first episode, beyond just simply getting the basic establishment, and apparently this is too small for another house. Alright, well that's my own bad. Is I want to work on expanding slightly. So we're going to get a couple of houses planted here. And we got a good stockpile of stone right now, which will help with these projects, these initial ones. And we have a good stockpile of iron, which will, when this is done, which I don't know why it hasn't been worked on at all. I guess they have, just to slowly cart over resources this horribly far distance. Whatever. I'll trust them. They know what they're doing. And then they'll get that up and running. So we told them to clear out the iron from here. And we're also going to tell them to clear out the stone. But one of the other issues I tend to run into is sustainable resource production. And that's something I want to try to take care of as quickly as possible. So once this is cleared out, I'm going to actually drop in here a forester's house. And this might be, as I mentioned before, what did I mention before? As I mentioned before, this might be expanding too quickly in terms of jobs. So we might not have enough citizens, which is why I cut a few people out from the fishing industry. Now I'm curious why this hasn't been picked up yet. So I'm just going to increase the priority on that. There it goes. Just don't want to get that food sitting around there, because there used to be a glitch in the game when it first came out, which was if you had food left in a field at the end of winter, they just wouldn't plant it for the next season and they wouldn't harvest it. And really the only way to get rid of it, to solve the issue, was to in fact delete the food stockpile, or the farm field, sorry, and build it a new one from scratch. That was really the only way. And that's not really what I want to deal with, so I'm very glad to see that that problem is gone. But instinctually, I see that food and I have a short little panic moment, because I've had entire cities die to that. So this is Elvan Arcy's Banishment, or Banishment. You know, who needs vowels? They're overrated. Alright, so we got our blacksmith up and running well before our tools drop down. And we're going to just keep a low limit of tools of 50 right now. That will let us produce enough tools to survive and have a good buffer until we grow too much. And at the same time will simply allow us to have some iron left in our stockpiles. We're going to produce more iron than we're going to use for this one project. So now the question comes down to, we have 1,400 food in the wintertime. That's pretty good. And we could actually take this and expand up another farm field if we so desired up here. Another simply 11 by 11 field. It kind of makes this section completely pointless, and so I'm actually going to just extend this road like that, because I'd rather have it be aesthetically pleasing to me than maybe maximize unusable space, because that space, it won't be used if I put a farm field there. Now, I had some good runs of this, and you can check them out on my Twitch VODs, and maybe I'll port one of them over here to kind of supplement. But I had a run where my first Spanish stream back from not having touched this game in, I think it's been 2 years since release now, maybe 3. I came back, and in my first run, my goal was to hit 900 people in a single day. So I just sat down for about 6-7 hours and cranked it out. And it was overall successful. It was a great stream. I had a lot of fun. The viewers enjoyed it too, I think. I don't know why I keep wanting to build more houses. I already have 2 projects here that aren't being finished, so I'm just going to let them be. But it was a great stream, had a lot of fun with it, and I hit 875 population, approximately. So maybe it was 880, but approximately 875 people in my city. And my goal was to hit 900, and that was my quote-unquote ending point for the day. And at that moment, I had scarlet fever set in. I had a tool crisis set in. Yeah, that one's my own doing, don't get me wrong. But because of the tool crisis setting in, I had a food crisis set in. And my entire population starved to death. It got sick and died. I think I had over 100 and something deaths from scarlet fever. But you know what came out of this? I never reached the 900 population point. The town actually died. I think it dropped down to about 100 people after a couple of iterations. But what came out of the entire process was something great, and that is I got the graveyard achievement, which is you have, I think, 400 people in graveyards or something like that. And so you know what? It's a win-win. My entire population died. I had a lot of fun with it, and I got an achievement out of it. So, you know, it's great. All right, so we're getting some good food production in. We're sitting at 900 going into early spring. We finished off the last year at 1800. Now we're low on logs, as you can probably tell. We're doing fine on stone, we're doing fine on iron, we're doing fine on tools. So overall things are good, and maybe I issued too big of an iron clearing order, but they'll just slowly work their way through this process. And you know, maybe to speed it up just a little bit, because there's not too much going on, we're going to speed this up to speed 10 for now. Just because the game seems to flow a lot better at that rate, at least from my experience. Now we still have a third of our population in children, which is good. That just kind of keeps us growing, and hopefully in a way that we can feed. That's really the question. Now this I really need to get done at some point, and I should really, you know, emphasize it by not adding constantly more projects to the workers' workload. But you know, some habits are just hard to kill. You know, you just have to go with it. So we're gonna try to place a road. But there's still this clear order on this one rock that I really want them to get rid of. So we're gonna just up the priority on that rock. Get that rock out of the way so I can build my road. It's all about priorities in life, you know? Now you should never expect this is a highly efficient banished city. There's gonna be a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of waste. I have yet to really figure out how to do anything efficiently. My extent of efficiency, by the way, is I learned that having 2 fisheries with overlapping circles is a bad idea. That's about it. And whether or not that's even based in fact, I'm not sure. I haven't spent any time on the wiki looking into anything. So I'm just kind of taking what someone said in Twitch chat at face value. And that is actually often a mistake. If you want to see what happens to a beautiful city that was really flawless and wonderful with no real problems until I listened to Twitch chat and built a dam. There's a video on my YouTube channel that I think it's just titled, you know, why not to listen to your Twitch chat or something along those lines. And it's a life lesson for everyone who wants to stream video games, especially ones that are kind of like a city management type game, is that you cannot trust people on the internet. They don't always have your best intentions or your best will at heart. And that's okay. It was funny. It was hilarious. And probably one of my favorite streaming experiences. So we're going to have here just another... I wanted to try to see if we can do one of these with just one person. We're going to do wheat here. Of course, he's not going to take part until next year. But I want to just try to get that up and running. Of course, now I have all my available laborers set up as farmers, which is less than great. But I have now a forester's lodge here, which would help give me sustainable lumber production, as well as give this gatherer a nice forest to deal with. And because we have these 2 at capacity, that will definitely help out there. So we're going to unpause this house construction project, and we definitely made it through to the harvest. And actually, given the fact that they managed to harvest everything by late summer, I'm going to cut back on my number of farmers here just a bit. All right, so expanding up here, I do want to do. This is a very nice area. So we're going to just drag a road up north. And what's nice about this area is it's large and flat, and we could probably put a few farm fields here. One of my main concerns, at least early on, is food. Eventually, we're going to add in concerns with regards to sustainable stone production and the like, and iron. But for now, it's surviving. Surviving and expanding. That is the name of the game here. So we have to keep our firewood in order. We have to keep our tools in order. And kind of just go from there. And maybe farms are not the right way of doing that. I don't know. They just work for me. They're probably not the most efficient. But you know, when you have success with something, you kind of just tend to keep doing it. So we're going to issue orders to clear out some of the stone from this area and some of the iron from here as well. We just want to get these taken care of. And you know, since we have such a surplus of it right now, I'm really tempted to build a town hall. But I think that that is wasteful and a mistake. But what I should do is we're going to put a well here in this corner. This area that I said would be completely useless and we'll never be able to do anything with. we're going to put a well here, and now I can pretend that it was designed that way. Haha. It's all about, you know, understanding. And eventually I'm going to want to add a schoolhouse, but right now we need our kids to become laborers. And we don't want to have a limit on logs. But the other foresters have happened. So that's why you're like not running, because there was no one to work here. Also, oddly enough, I lowered this from requiring 4 people to 2 people. And one of the 2 people that was already working here decided to leave and go to the other one. I don't understand the logic behind that. But, you know, the game has its algorithms, and we have to respect it. Now, so far, things are looking marvelous. This might be one of my best starts in this game, just from overall resources and things like that. So I think I got really lucky on my starting seed. I tried playing the other day with some of the mods for this game, and oh, they are intense. I tried the most recent Colonial Charter mod, and that was really cool, but oh, it really transforms the game. And so my thought is that if this goes well, we're going to try doing that. Now, I noticed in the wintertime we actually run out of firewood, and I don't really want that to ever be the case. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to up the limit on firewood that we produce during the summer, so that way we offset better the winter needs preemptively, so we don't actually run out of it. And we're going to just extend this road up north. Just get that taken care of. Now, our food is doing well, but I don't want to rely pretty much solely on the farmlands, because you can get disasters that strike and will just completely ruin crop fields. And then I would just die off. So we're going to add another fishery. Conveniently, without overlapping circles. And try to get that up and running. Just to diversify slightly. We have so much iron, though. It's absolutely marvelous. And it might eventually be worthwhile to look into upgrading to stone houses. But I think right now it's more important for me to hold on to my resources, because we're probably going to need it soon enough. So spring is here. They're already planting and growing, which is great. So we'll probably have another year of good harvest. We have about 500 more food this spring than we had last spring. And we've doubled our crop fields, but I've preserved the number of workers. So we'll have to keep an eye on this to make sure we don't starve. Someone once told me that an 11 by 11 field can be worked with by 1 person if it's right next to a storage barn. I don't know if they're right, but we're going to go with it. And now we have over a third of our population is in children. But I want to keep this expansion going. And I have this odd habit of building up in the areas where I build a forester's house. So I'm going to try to fix that myself by simply not doing that. And my goal will be to get a market up here and establish a second area of expansion. But I will save that probably for the next episode. But I think right now this is actually probably a great place to stop. So I'm going to make a save here. And we are going to save this as, well, I guess we can't give it a custom name. So we're just going to make a save here. If you've enjoyed the show, please feel free to hit the like button or to subscribe on YouTube. It is safe to assume that at least for the next 1 to 2 weeks, we will have about 3 of these episodes coming up a week. I'm going to aim for posting Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday. And we'll go from there. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. And I will see you next time.